Hi, everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Let me turn the live chat on. Royce Eddings here, Royce in the House podcast. We've got Lou Mars next to me. Directly below him is Jeff Davidson, a regular on the show. And, of course, the featured artist tonight is Ron Williams, the author of I want to pop that book up. Yeah, here we go. I Stole Your Love, the 100% true story of a 100% true Kiss fan. I Stole Your Love. And Ron's the author of that. Now, Ron, when is that book supposed to be coming out?
It's coming out on April 22nd. It'll be available both on ebook and also the print book here. And it's only on Amazon, right? I'm an amateur here, and we're limited to Amazon. So
we're only 11 days off.
Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah. I'm pretty excited.
Wow. Hey, hey, Lou, when is your book coming out once again?
Mine's in August, and it was actually written quite a bit ago, but similar. I was supposed to do the Lions book tour in Barnes and Noble, but it got canceled in COVID, so we held it off. So re-released into this year. That's why I'm so excited for Ron. I know what it takes, man, and I'm so proud of you, Ron. Much respect.
Well, and I'm totally proud of him and respect him too, because I'll tell you something. Every once in a while, I start thinking about the crazy life that I've lived, 90% of which most people don't know about. And I wonder if maybe at the time when I'm no longer working, I would actually write a book about my life. If I did it now, nobody ever hire me again.
See, that looks good on our resume.
Your business.
No, I'm just joking, but I think there's a little bit of a story in all of us. We've all gone down different roads and stuff. But anyway, getting back to Ron here. You talked about all the ups and downs of being a Kiss fan. The collectible. Well, okay. First of all, in 1978, you discovered Kiss when somebody gave you a package of Kiss cards, right? And I think, as you put it, you became a.
It's awesome. He still has it.
You became from that point forward. You became a Kiss fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was born in 1973. I'm 49 years old. So I almost missed, the first heyday that Kiss experienced. I was really only 6 years old when they came through on the Dynasty tour. I was made for London and so forth. But, I was really lucky because one of my best friends, my neighbor, his older brother was a Kiss fan. So, of course, when you're 6, 7, 8 years old, you just want to be like the older kids. So, I sort of came home and told my mom, like, what's Kiss? I love Kiss. And one of the things I really, I guess, clamped onto was the Kiss cards, because growing up in Canada, hockey cards were always big. So here was something, that I could relate to as a kid. So that was sort of my, I guess, entry point into the band when I was pretty young.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you became an instant Kiss fan. Just
almost like a pseudo Kiss fan, like a poser. Like I was so young that, I had the posters up, I had the cards. I don't know how much I actually listened to the music, right? I remember I thought that Gene Simmons was the lead singer for years and years and years, right? I thought that he just had a microphone and sang. So, I jumped on the bandwagon anyways, and, became somewhat of a fan anyways.
Right on.
Well, the wild thing is you became a Kiss fan with a few years left in the original lineup.
Yeah.
And so that must have been, you must have went through a whole range of emotions to be a little kid and see your favorite band, 50% of the members leave, while you're still a little kid. That must have been really traumatic. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want you to go ahead and maybe take us into storytelling leading up to the writing of the book and, that kind of thing.
Sure, definitely. To kind of pick up on what you were saying, as I turned, 10, 11, 12, I kind of forgot about the band a little bit. I was into, Star Wars and sports and different.
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But, I didn't forget them. So, I remember hearing that they had taken the makeup off, and I remember telling my friends, well, Ace Frehley and Peter Criss aren't in the band anymore. So I was always kind of, keeping an eye on them, so to speak. But then, of course, when Animalize came out, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, Heaven's on Fire. Interest kind of rekindled, and I really jumped, back on the Kiss train. And at that point, I actually became a fan, right, of the music, the history. I started collecting things and so forth. So now, of course, fast forward, 40 years later or 35 years later, and I just had all these stories in my head and so forth that have been sitting around, and I thought, during COVID, when we were all kind of looking for something to do, down on
right.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, I'm excited about the book. I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's really going to open my eyes to a lot of things. And sorry, folks, you see me looking away. I'm saying hi to. We've got. I don't know if the chat shows on your computer, but we've got quite a lively chat. Well,
good.
And,
say hi to Adam and Gloria out there.
Nice.
And so forth. Hey, Ron, I got a question for you, Ron.
Sure.
So I was around. I'm a little older than you, just a little bit. Piquita. But I was around when they were. Well, no, I don't know about that, but I'll take that. It's a filter. But you see, my buddies, I was there when they were hitting. I came back to the States at '73, right when Kiss came out.
Nice.
But they really didn't gain ground. This is just my opinion. They didn't really gain ground around 76, 77 is when they really exploded. Again, my opinion. But nobody.
I agree with that.
Well, yeah, and I think so. And what made them different, and what I'm not seeing today, and I'm curious about your opinion on this. At the time, we talked about their inspiration, influence being the Japanese style makeup, the samurai, and so forth like that, especially with Gene Simmons, with the demon, right? Today, I was looking back up information just to get back up to snuff on Kiss because it's been a while.
Sure.
And first off, I was really impressed with a lot of what I saw about them that I did not know about their record sales. I knew they were double platinum several times over, but they're in the top 10 all time, America, New York band.
Oh, all time. Yeah, huge.
All time. Yeah. That's big on gold records as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Big stuff. But here's my question to you. None of that Japanese influence was mentioned in any of the current writing I saw on the internet. They did mention, the prior band's Lips and so forth,
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Do you think there was a Japanese influence on this, or do you think it was something just glam? What is your take? I'd like to hear that from a fan.
Well, that's a great question, because when their second album came out, Hotter Than Hell, they really played it up with some Japanese style lettering and so forth. And the backstory was that because the Japanese had the kabuki theater, I suppose, they thought that Kiss was, an obvious connection there. And, Kiss did go to Japan pretty early. I think it was the Rock and Roll Over tour, I want to say 76, but it could have been 77, the way the dates go. And, they were intending to record a live album there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was right after Live at Budokan. Maybe you guys know what year that was released? Was it 76?
Yeah, they did it before Cheap Trick. And Kiss was one of the first bands to really explode as an American rock band in Japan.
Big time.
They made American rock and roll. I think I would feel you could credit Kiss for getting our rock and roll to the Japanese, and the Japanese just totally loving it,
Well, they said at the time, and you guys might know better than me, but they said they outsold the Beatles. Like, did the Beatles play Japan? Is that right?
Gosh, I've never seen them. I never saw it.
Yeah,
Jeff?
I think they played everywhere, but I'm not sure. I never heard specifically about Japan, so I don't know.
There's a caveat to that, because remember, the Beatles stopped short on their touring. They didn't really tour for a very long time.
Well, that's
they
true.
recorded for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it Candlestick Park was their last show, or was it New York? It was one of the two.
It was Candlestick, but they did play in Japan at 66.
Did they? Okay. Yeah, but I'm still going to give it to Kiss, and I'm not a super Kiss fan, but I got to say I think it was Kiss that blew that up.
Well, and they always said that they outsold the Beatles in Japan, so I don't know what that means. I'm not trying to disparage the Beatles at all.
Oh no, I think I would put money down that you're right on that.
Well, and I would too, because from what I'm reading, they outsold everybody. America's #1 gold record award winning group of all time.
Yeah.
That's in every category.
Well, shoot, didn't they when they had the 4 separate albums? Which who does that in a band? Did each one of those go double platinum? I think every single one went double platinum.
Lou, you were right on when you brought up when they really took off, because 1975 was when Alive 1 came out, and that they really exploded with that.
I didn't know that.
And then then a year later, Rock and Roll Over Destroyer came out. Then Love.
I remember that one.
They followed up with Dynasty and Unmasked, and there were some earlier ones too, but they weren't really. It was Alive 1. It was my understanding when they really blew up.
So right? you never know, you know. Kiss and Gene Simmons are so great at at media and promotion. You never exactly know
promotion.
But, supposedly the band was on their knees. They weren't selling albums. They were running out of money, and the manager Bill Aucoin, used his credit card to keep them touring. And awesome. The arenas were filling up, but the records weren't selling. So they decided to record, Kiss Alive. It's come out later that a lot of that was done in a studio, but definitely that was the album that sort of broke them and allowed them to keep going. But
I heard that story too, that they were basically broke.
Supposedly,
I heard that same story. Yeah.
A lot of bands do that. I think they found David Bowie naked in a gutter after Ziggy Stardust. Yeah, that's a true story.
They couldn't even
afford a terrible story
for their third album. They had to have Neil Bogart produce their third album.
That's right.
Right. Well, they were the first company signed to Casablanca, weren't they?
Yeah. So Jeff, do you know the story?
You tell.
I guess Neil Bogart was owned Casablanca, and he was known for sort of producing bubblegum singles and so forth in the late 60s. And he wanted to start a new record label, and the first band was Kiss, right? And then Casablanca Records sort of took off from there with various acts and releases.
Yeah. How much do you love that label, the Casablanca label? I absolutely love that. That's the prettiest label I've seen.
It's cool.
It is. It's it's near and dear to my heart, because you look at the early Kiss albums, you see Casablanca. Another one of the legends was supposedly, Kiss had released 3 albums, they weren't selling so great, and Casablanca sunk a ton of money into a double album called The Best of the Tonight Show, which was, I guess, audio tracks of Johnny Carson's jokes and interviews. And apparently it was a bomb. So, that was hearing things also, I guess.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I remember reading that, yeah.
So I got another question for Ron, if it's okay. So Ron, so during that period, my high school period, so we were listening to Queen, Led Zeppelin at that time. Judas Priest was coming out, so on. Kiss was obviously right in there. But here's the difference. The Kiss Army, where they talk about. When I go to my friend's house that was a Kiss fan, now I might have Zeppelin over here and maybe the Eagles over there, but those dudes didn't have anybody else on their walls. I mean, it was Kiss,
I'm telling
Kiss. And I'm looking at your back wall. So I'm asking you, did you have anybody else on your walls, or is it just all Kiss?
It started with everybody, right? Because when I sort of turned back on to rock and roll, heavy metal, I was sort of, 12, 13. And it was all about amassing as many posters as I could. So I remember I had a magazine that was called like Rock Posters, and the whole thing unfolded. I had a Cyndi Lauper poster. I had an REO Speedwagon poster. I had a 38 Special poster. But then they all came down.
I knew it. You're an old soul, man. You're an old soul. I love you.
Dead. I don't know why that is. I love other bands too, but the bedroom was all Kiss.
Yeah, well, I see you got a bunch of figurines back there and posters, and I was telling you guys earlier that like Jason Herndon's got a Kiss pinball machine. Oh, I remember when he went and bought it.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are huge. So Ron, what's your favorite Kiss song? Gotta ask. What's in your top 3? I won't make you just pick ones that you're such a fan.
I kind of have a different take with Kiss than a lot of people do. And
Yeah,
and
figure.
my tastes do change from time to time, but I almost look to, the slower songs I'm into these days. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys have heard, Sure Know Something from Dynasty.
Oh, you're later. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of nice ones off of Unmasked. It's, it was released in, 80 or 81. But I mean, I love the classics too, right? You can't go wrong with Goose, something like that.
I'm a
Strutter,
Detroit Rock City, man. Diddly dude. I love that. Diddly dude. Diddly dude. That bass riff, man, is badass.
Well, that's what I like about it is the song is different, right? Because it's bass driven, right?
Yeah.
And just with a few power chords over. And the chorus is only saying one time, right? They only say you gotta lose your mind.
Get up
one time. That's it,
right. It's true. Which in the other ones they don't. They really, some of them, that's all they do through the whole damn song,
Sure.
But
For sure. Yeah.
that's all they had to. Hey, that's pop.
Yeah.
It was pop rock.
No, but I love, Detroit Rock City. I mean, you can't hear it enough times, right? There's, the intro.
I love that song.
The radio, the news update. There was an accident, and then Paul or whoever gets in his car, and he kind of relives that. So it's a beautiful.
It's a great. Yeah, that's mine. That's mine. That old school one. But I can't hear that licking up. That's just such a great.
There you
riff.
go. Yep.
Yeah, good stuff.
Bass.
Did I do it enough times? I've already done like 8 times.
You got it.
Now, Ron, have you seen a recent concert?
My oldest son Jack and I saw Kiss is right now on their End of the Road tour, and opening night was in Vancouver, Canada. Right, I don't live too far away from Vancouver.
Oh, nice.
So my oldest son Jack, he's actually, I got the photo on the back of the kids there, and Royce, I know you had it on your sort of promo there. There's Jack. Oh, I'm trying to.
I do. I have that here. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we saw Kiss in 2019, right before sort of COVID hit, at the End of the Road tour, and I talk about that. Yeah. So there's Jack's Paul Stanley there.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Look at that. Great. I love the low. You got the low cut down.
There you go.
You got to go all the way, man.
That's how the book sort of ends, right? Because I'm kind of there with my son, and I'm accepting that this is the last time that I'm going to see Kiss, right? And I'm trying to watch it and kind of trying to figure out, how to make sense of that. So yeah, I was pretty fortunate, what is it, 2 years ago, and it's a pretty special memory for sure. I think for all of us Kiss fans, we're trying to figure out, is this the end, right? Because the first farewell tour was years and years ago, but we're recognizing that, Paul and Gene now are mid-70s. I think it's winding down, and, how are we going to say goodbye? What do we think of this? How do we make sense of it, and so forth? And I talk about that in the book, in the last chapter anyways.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of bummed because 2019, and you're right about the end of the End of the Road tour. There was also a last tour prior to that. And that's not uncommon. But I was in London, England in 2019, my wife and I with a daughter and son-in-law, and they were there because specifically to see Kiss in London, and we were there specifically to babysit for them while they went to Kiss, among other things. So here we are, Eric Singer, who I have a video of Eric Singer singing Beth with my granddaughter.
Yeah,
to
your granddaughter.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But anyway, so I tried to get it on tonight. It's a long story. It still wouldn't load where I could have. I didn't want to play anyway. That's not what we're here to do. But sooner or later, I got to show it off on the show some other time. But anyway, so we're in London, England for the End of the Road tour of Kiss. And Eric Singer, the current drummer, of course, is the godfather to my youngest granddaughter. So we walk over to the hotel where Kiss is staying, and Eric Singer comes out and meets us, and we're walking around England with Eric, me and the guys, and so Eric looks at me and says, "Well, see you guys tonight." We got back to the hotel. He said, "Hey, to my son-in-law, Gene wants you to come on up. Gene wants to say hi to you. So he got to go up and say hi to Gene, and they went to the concert that night and all that stuff, you know.
Nice.
And I'm kind of bummed because I probably could have got my wife just to babysit, and I could have went. You know? And so that was as close as I came right there, right in London, England. I've got two granddaughters that have been to Kiss concerts, and I haven't, you know.
Oh,
but anyway, so that was interesting, and we had fun. You know, when we got to Amsterdam, it was like they wanted to go down to the red light district every night, so we babysat every night while they went down to the red light district. It was kind of funny. Anyway, so let's get back to Kiss. So you became a Kiss fan in that period from 73 to 80 with the original lineup. And we don't have to keep repeating Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. They're a standard item there through all of the different lineups, and will always be there.
As they should be.
Yeah, exactly. But at the time, they had Ace Frehley, lead guitar player, and of course backup vocals and things.
Who's a big part. Who's part of the logo, even.
Peter Criss, you know, and that was the original lineup. So you got to enjoy being a fan during the original lineup. I think that's pretty cool.
A little bit, like I say, you know, when they sort of, you know, started kind of moving out of the mainstream, 1980. I was young, right? I was 7 years old. So, you know, when I really became a fan was early 80s. And the funny thing was, yeah, and I was a kid, so I thought that the 70s were so long ago, right? Like I remember, you know, 1985, just thinking, oh man, I wish that I could have seen the Dynasty show in 79, but it was so long ago, and I didn't get that it was, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, right? Which is like nothing. And I think about that in the book too, right? Just that, like, you know, the whole mystique of 70s Kiss was just so magical, and it's such a special.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
But Ron, what inspired you to write the book? I mean, there's a lot of Kiss fans out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys. I've been in their rooms with all the posters and stuff like you got, but you took it to the next level. Why did you do it? Yeah. What inspired you to do this?
It's an excellent question. About 8 years ago, I was going on vacation, and I was big into Van Halen at the time, as I have been my whole life.
Yeah.
And I had never really read a great Van Halen book. So I downloaded a book called The Definitive Biography of Edward Van Halen. It was by a guy, I want to say Jeff Dodds. And, you know, he did a great job of, you know, he grabbed all the old interviews, and he went through chronologically talking about Eddie. You know, a lot of the stuff I had heard, a lot of stuff I hadn't. But he also spent a fair amount of time talking about his experience as a fan. So, for example, you know, we talked about he and his buddy going to, I think it was Texas Jam, and seeing, you know, Eddie perform for the first time. He talked about his older brother, you know, creating his own Frankenstein guitar. You know,
right on.
Rolling it up to Eddie.
You're talking about Alex, right? You're talking about Alex Van Halen. The older brother, Alex?
Yeah, but no, the writer Kevin Dodds, his older brother Alex had.
Oh, I'm sorry.
His older brother had made this guitar, and then the writer Kevin Dodds, he talked about, you know, sadly his brother had passed away, and he related a story about next time he saw Van Halen, and it ended, and he was like so much up on a high, and he so badly wanted to call his brother, and he couldn't. And I just remember thinking that I enjoyed those stories of being a fan, you know, as much or more that I enjoyed, you know, learning about Eddie. So I thought, you know, I have a lot of memories about being a Kiss fan. You know, they've been around, like you say, Royce, from, you know, when I was a young kid, teenager, young adult. And I just thought, you know, why not put them down on paper, right? And that's really what it is. My mom read it, an advanced copy there, and she said, Ron, it's the Wonder Years meets Kiss. You guys know that show, The Wonder Years?
Yeah.
Right. It's fun. It's nostalgia. It's humorous stories of growing up, but of course they all involve Kiss, right? That's the common denominator.
Right. Well, that's interesting that you read that Edward Van Halen book. I didn't read the book, but I've read a bit about him, and I know that they were from Amsterdam.
Yeah.
That was probably in the book. And then they moved to Holland, or yeah. And when they got, so they weren't treated very well because it was a mixed race family, the mom and dad. And so they eventually immigrated to America.
Yeah.
And they didn't even speak English. None of them spoke English.
Oh, wow.
And both the parents were musicians, and they enrolled them into piano lessons. They wanted them both to be concert pianists. And actually, Eddie was really excelling at it. He was getting awards and stuff for being such a great pianist. And they just came home one day and announced to mom and dad, we're gonna join a rock band.
That's awesome.
No more concert pianists. We're joining a rock band,
Yeah.
And of course, Alex was gonna be the guitar player, and Eddie was gonna be the drummer. And then one day, Eddie heard Alex playing the Safaris Wipeout, the song we all tried to play on our desks in school. And Eddie said, no, you're going to be the drummer. You're great. You're going to be the drummer. And he started playing the guitar, and that's how it all went down. But anyway, so I just thought it was interesting that they came from Amsterdam, got here, didn't speak any English. I mean, you wouldn't know it. I never picked up on that. I did get to see him in concert, and it was really fun seeing. It was right here in Paso Robles, Lou, at the fairground.
I would think,
it reunited with David Lee Roth.
I saw Van Halen twice. I saw him both times with David. I know Sammy, and I love Sammy. We've talked about it before. But Van Halen's a David Lee Roth fan. But here's what I'm going to keep this and bring it back home to Kiss. Yeah, because I think I saw Van Halen the first time when they were a warm-up band with Black Sabbath. And here's how I'm going to tie it back in. Yeah. And they were kicked off that tour by Ozzy because they were just. I'm gonna say what wasn't being said back then. They were getting blown away, man. Van Halen was blowing them away. I was there to see Black Sabbath. I'm being honest.
Right.
So I got good seats. That was my style. And so here's the thing, though. Now knowing, and what's really interesting about this conversation right now, Ron was a Van Halen fan, I think, first. Is that or close? Okay.
That's accurate.
So that's interesting because, when I saw Van Halen, I never saw Kiss live, but of course I knew of them. You had to be under a rock not to know who Kiss was back in the 70s.
Right.
I don't even care if you didn't like metal. They were on lunch pails. They were everywhere, man. Yeah. They were. There were cartoons on TV with Kiss.
All everywhere.
You had to know somebody that liked Kiss, and you went in his room, and there they were, man. So, but here's the thing about Van Halen. The opening of Van Halen, you would just hear Eruption. And then all of a sudden, Eddie would come out sliding across the stage on his knees, playing. And then, you hear that. And here came Roth over the stack, split, landing. That was the opening of Van Halen. Now, here's the tie-in. Have you ever seen the opening of Kiss?
Yes.
You ever seen the opening of Kiss? Wow. You can't tell me a band like Van Halen wasn't inspired by a band by Kiss for the showmanship. And again, in my opinion, you look at that.
Legend has it that Gene Simmons discovered Van Halen, right? You guys have all heard this song, heard this story.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. No, come on,
I heard that Gene Simmons paid for some of the early recordings of Van Halen.
What? That's amazing. I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
It seems like
a musician doesn't mean I know everything,
It changes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Originally we had heard that he discovered them at the Starwood. I know you guys did that episode about the Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
Supposedly he recorded a demo. He wanted to sign them, and he said, "If I can't get you a record deal within a week, you're free." And supposedly he had to go on tour. He couldn't, and the rest is history. But now it's come out supposedly that Eddie wanted to join Kiss in the late 70s.
Really?
No way.
Mid 70s. I don't know. That's what the legend says.
That just totally gave my opinion credence.
That's right.
Because I really didn't know that. I honestly didn't. So that makes sense. It makes sense. I see that crossover. Eddie would have been great, but you know what? Ace Frehley had to be part of Kiss.
I agree.
That combination that they had was magic. They were all in the right place. It's just like the Beatles or any other great bands. You remove any of them, and I know they have, but that core original was what launched it. Was what made it so great. Right. They're perfect. Everything.
I like what you said earlier. Lou, you said you liked Sammy Hagar and so forth. but
Yeah,
that, you know,
love 'em.
Van Halen is David Lee Roth band.
It
And,
is.
you know, there's different incarnations of Kiss. And I think the early version, you know, it had to be Ace Frehley and Peter Criss. But, you know, now, like, I'm so thankful that Kiss has been, you know, continuing on, and, you know, Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer and Eric
Yeah.
Carpform and Bruce Kulick, you know, they're integral to the band, right?
Right.
And Kiss couldn't
Right.
exist without them.
Right.
But
Totally.
definitely
Yeah.
at the time, early 70s, it was, you know, it was Ace and Peter for sure.
Well, Ron,
Yeah.
I would rather see 2 replacements that are at least with the original members than a tribute band. Sorry, tribute bands. I love the tribute. I don't like when a tribute band is out at the same time, and some of them have even been touring at the same time as the original band. I'm like, come on, you know. But I'm going to get so much hate mail for that. But here's the thing, you know. I understand where you're coming from, and it's like a better than not at all. You know, Robert Plant's doing it with Jimmy occasionally and with Jason Bonham and stuff like that. I get it, but it doesn't take away, just like the Who. That original core was magical.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that's why they blew up. That's what made it
Yeah.
happen.
I like that you brought up the tribute bands. You know, in the book here, I talk about seeing, there was one Kiss tribute band called Black Diamond that played all around Vancouver, sort of in the 90s, I guess. And my friend and I were seeing them one night on downtown Vancouver, and there's a guy right to the side of us, long hair, and he's wild. He's shaking his head back and forth. His elbows are up. He's super hyper. And my buddy and I we're almost beside him with a beer. We're thinking, like, this guy's gonna get thrown out. Like, who is this guy? This guy's out of control. About the third song, the guy's had enough. He grabs the I don't know, the front, the gate, jumps up on stage. So I'm thinking, this guy's gonna get kicked out. He grabs a microphone. It's Sebastian Bach from Skid Row.
I knew it.
You knew it?
That makes sense. That sounds like Sebastian
Sings
Bach.
about 3 songs with them. We were just, you know, couldn't believe it.
Take away the wine,
you know,
Sebastian.
I've seen Sebastian Bach on stage live, and he's got that thing. He likes to throw his hair down and throw it out.
The famous
He does
hair
that all
whip.
the way through
Yeah.
the performance, you know.
He used to spin it. I'd watch him like, God, does it make you want to puke? How does he? I would fall down. I get dizzy.
Yeah, I think they might be coming to either the Paso Robles Fairgrounds or Vina Robles. I'm going April 23rd to see Alice Cooper and Ace Frehley.
Nice.
At,
Oh,
a winery 10 minutes from my house.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
so I'm kind of excited about that. I got pretty good seats.
haven't they been traveling with Buck Cherry? I thought Alice was with Buck Cherry going. No,
I don't know. I just know that this time that Ace Frehley will be there, you know.
that's really awesome. Ace Frehley was his guitar playing. I think is incredibly underrated of some of the work that he did.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was doing some effects and styles that were ahead of its time. In that
Okay, well,
movie.
that original lineup with Peter Criss and Ace Frehley, they did 11 albums.
It's about right. Yeah.
Now, Jeff, I know that
Over
you've
10
been a big
years.
Kiss fan, Jeff, for a long time.
Right.
Would you say that original lineup of those first 11 albums are their best work? There's a live 1 and 2,
Ooh.
Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun, Dynasty.
What do you, Jeff, on that one too?
Dress to Kill, Hotter Than Hell. I mean, there's a bunch of albums in there, and I'm just curious what your opinion is.
My favorite era is Destroyer, Love Gun, Rock and Roll Over, Alive 2, and then throw
Okay,
in
that
Night 2, which gets into this discussion because it's further on down the road.
well, that's the exact era I'm talking about. Alive 1 and 2 both came out between 73 and 80 with the original lineup.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I just
That's a
how
badass
about
album.
you, Ron? Would
That's
you
what I like
would you
best.
consider that?
I love the early albums too, but those 76, 77, 78, that's what I like.
Yeah. Well, I've
To me,
got
that's still the early albums.
yeah.
Because
Well, I've got
came-
3 of those
they
albums.
came out and did a whole nother batch after. Yeah.
The great thing about being a Kiss fan is you do have all these eras, right? Like, you know, there's no doubt that, you know, whatever, 73 to sort of 79 was, you know, the original heyday, and
The
there's
original,
a real special magic in those releases. Yeah, but then there's a lot of fans who, like myself, were kind of turned on in the 80s. And, even though, you're Lick It Up, Your Heaven's on Fire, Asylum, have you heard of Asylum? Tears Are Falling.
Yeah.
Crazy Nights. For me, I just have memories of, going to the mall every day, waiting for Crazy Nights to be released. When's it coming out? Or, lining up at, 4 a.m. to get the concert tickets to, to the Asylum show, right? Whereas,
Right.
to a lot of guys, maybe those were, just typical hair metal albums from the 80s. But, to me and a lot of Kiss fans, that's special, right? That was big.
Oh yeah. Hey Ron, nice shirt.
Yeah, there you go. I saw yours. Well,
You guys are making me jelly. Mine's blank. Oh, one of these guys is not like the other.
Three out of 4.
It's funny. I had a chili pepper shirt on earlier, and I took it off because I knew I was coming on here. I knew you guys were going to do this to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
At least I went with black.
Peppers and Kiss connections. I don't know that.
Wear black. Wear black.
That's an easy one. Yeah.
Okay, so after that first era, which was 73 through 80, I'm sorry, the original lineup, then we had a little change take place. That next era was 80, mid 80 through late 82, and we no longer had Peter Criss. We now had Eric Carr. Everyone else was still there, but Peter Criss. Okay, there we go.
Oh wow! I haven't seen that. Yeah. Guys, do you still have that in plastic? You look at these guys.
There you go. Nice, the Elder. Yeah.
You're gonna go to their house and sit on their couch. Quack, quack.
I'm gonna go grab my. If this keeps up, I'm gonna go grab my 5 Kiss albums.
So
it got hot in here.
So did you notice any kind of a change, from Peter Criss to Eric Carr?
Yes. I wasn't, like I say, I sort of took a hiatus from, say, I don't know, 81 to 84 type of thing.
Oh, okay.
But you look at their music now, and I mean, full, like, Lou, I want your opinion, but Peter Criss was more a jazz type drummer, and Eric Carr was your John, but was trying to go after John Bonham. Is that?
Yeah, just really.
Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah. Boy, you're gonna put me on the spot. That's Royce's job to make me all fidgety.
But the first time we heard him was on that Elder album, and it's like the first time we heard Eric Carr with Kiss was on that Elder album.
That was good.
Well, that's
right. You're good.
That was good. The 80 to 82 lineup. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Everybody was like, what in the world is going on? Because it's so out there for Kiss.
Well, that particular lineup, 80 to 82, Elder was the only album that they produced, that lineup.
So, well, I'm gonna sum it up like this. I got to give respect, obviously, to both drummers. The first, Peter, he holds the #1 hit for Kiss. He holds the #1 hit. Of all the Kiss music, it's undisputable. If you look it up, he has the #1 with that ballad. Now, it happens a lot to metal bands, but they got all this great hard rock, and it's they put out a ballad, and that's the one that goes to #1. There's a lot of theories and explanations.
The one that's not supposed to sell.
But here's the other thing that was cool about that song. Now, whether you like the song or not, that's beside the point. He came out and sang it. Now, other than Phil Collins, which did not happen quite yet with Peter Gabriel, that wasn't happening, man. Nobody did that. And so that was really cool, especially as a drummer. I was drumming back then. I was touring back then as a young man. That was really cool. Now, Carr, he's a hard hitter. Carr's a much bigger hitter. Peter Criss, man, he was way up there in those big stacks. So one of the best things about Kiss that I love was the giant high-rise drum kit settings. Yeah. He was way up there. And back then the big kits were popular. So were big stages. But Chris's was probably one of the highest I've ever seen. Yeah. I thought that was really cool. That showmanship, that was part of the whole thing. You got to credit Criss with that. That was his domain. Carr got to he got to get a piece of what was developed. Carr, though, tough shoes to fill, right? Tough shoes. He comes in and he does it by hitting hard and solid. You're exactly right, Ron, in my opinion. I agree with you. And I'm going to say that as far as like a metered or studio drummer style, you're going to edge it to car, but I'm not going to go over the original, man. I can't go over the original, baby, on that. No way. Gotta love the man. So that's my answer to that.
Jeff, you brought up The Elder. I don't know if you guys know that in, I think, 81, Kiss did The Elder was a concept album. And, they play around with a bunch of different musical genres. It almost touches on opera at some points, Paul singing falsetto.
Okay.
You think of Bohemian Rhapsody or something. But, one of the stories in the book was by the mid 80s, there was sort of an arms race amongst my grade 7 class for who could collect the most Kiss things. And one of my classmates, a girl named Kim, she came to me one day and she said, Ron, I'm going to bring you a Kiss album tomorrow. And I said, oh, great, Kim. Thank you very much. Don't tell anyone else. I'll meet you before school. And she says, well, I don't know if you're going to like it. And I said, what are you talking about? It's a Kiss album. Bring it. I want it. And she said, no, I don't know if I should. And I said, Kim, please bring it. And this is pre-internet days. I don't even know that I knew how many albums Kiss had. So the next day, she arrives at school and she shows me this record. And Jeff, I don't know if you got it handy. Kiss isn't even on the cover, right? It's a wooden door. And right. And I'm like, whoa, okay, this is different. And I flip it over.
Nice.
It says, well, that's a nice copy. That's got the
Look at Jeff, man. Jeff is killing me.
Mylar copy that just came out.
Nice.
Yeah, Jeff's one of my heroes when it comes to this stuff. He's got so much stuff.
He's got like a garage full of Ferraris in the music area. It's like they're all sitting there.
That's right.
But I flipped it over. It said, it credited an orchestra, and it said that there was contributions and spoken word. And I thought it was a movie. I said to my classmates, I said, oh, Kiss made a movie called The Elder. And I brought it home. Pardon me?
I had the same experience.
Yeah. You thought the same thing, Jeff?
Well, I didn't even know they was having an album come out. And we just went to the record store at the mall, and I'm like, music from The Elder, did they do a movie?
Yeah.
Then I listened to it, and I'm like, it sounds like a soundtrack album in a way. It's like, well, where's this movie yet?
And then you'd read interviews like even though this was after the fact, this was late 80s, I'm looking at this, I'm finding old magazines where they say that there's going to be a movie, and I'm so confused. I'm going into video stores and asking, do you guys have The Elder by Kiss? And I had no idea. And that's kind of part of the magic of collecting Kiss, right? In the pre-internet age was, we just didn't know, right? Like I went into a magazine one day, I'm looking through, and all of a sudden there's Kiss Killers. And I'm like, what? This hasn't been in any other discography I've seen. So it was a big mystery.
Yeah, that's another one.
But Ron, do you have the lunch pail?
It's a 4 new song.
The lunch pail.
I want to see the lunch pail.
Sadly, I do not have the lunch pail. My collection
that's got to be worth a fortune.
Pales in comparison to.
I love that. Oh, if Jeff pulls a lunch pail right now, I'm slamming this fruity drink.
You asked for it, you got it.
No, he's got it.
Look at this. Oh man.
It's a repo. It's not a new one.
It's
okay.
You're killing me, Jeff.
Wow.
Jeff, I saw it, and it looks exactly like the 78 one, but it's in such good shape. Right away, I went, is that the original?
No, it's not original.
Jeff, do you have a Beatles lunch pail in there too? Don't tell me you got a Beatles. Oh my God, he's like thinking about it.
I don't have.
What kid didn't have a metal lunch pail that smelled like Fritos?
Mine was Scooby Doo.
Oh yeah, welcome to the 70s. There you go.
My family wouldn't buy me the cool stuff,
It's pretty cool,
Well, mine neither. That's why I'm buying all this stuff now.
You got it last Wednesday.
Buy it now.
Okay, well, let's talk about the progression here, the next era, the next lineup. And we'll go December 82, where we just left off with the last lineup, to March of 84. And 2 albums were produced. But the biggest change was we lost Ace Frehley and picked up Vinnie Vincent as a lead guitar player. Yeah. So that was a big change. That was a big change because we went from 73 to basically like 83, 10 years of Ace Frehley. Now we have Vinnie Vincent. So how old were you about 83, 84 at that point, Ron?
I was 10 years old, still a young
10 years old, okay. So that's still pretty young as far as you're really sitting back saying, this guitar player is better than that.
When Kiss took their makeup off around that time, I remember seeing it in a newspaper of some sort, and it was exciting, but it was like you're only really seeing Paul and Gene, right? And I talk about that in the book, how it was like, okay, well, there's Vinny and Eric, but who are they? I don't even know who they are. And it wasn't until years later that I ever saw Peter Criss and Ace Frehley with no makeup. So, yeah, Royce, that was definitely a strange time. Vinny was in the band such a short time, but of course he's instrumental to the whole Kiss story. In the book, I talk about he came to Vancouver in 1988. My friends and I were around 15, and we desperately wanted to go, but it was a 19 plus club. Like the drinking age in Canada is 19, right? Where I live anyways. So we couldn't get into the show, and we were hanging around outside, kind of contemplating, should we sneak in or not? And I talked about the outcome of that in the book there. It's kind of a funny story.
I can't even count the concerts I snuck into. At the Las Vegas Convention Center, one day me and my friends were congregating, not by the entry gates, none of us had tickets, but by the down the building a ways, and there was a door that was open, and there was a security guard standing there, and so we're all standing there talking, and every once in a while we'd look, one of us would look up, like a bunch of pigeons or something, if the security guard was still there, and all of a sudden somebody looked up and said he's not there. We all looked up, we all kind of crept up to the door, and we poked our heads in and looked back and forth, and people were just walking back and forth, stopping, getting refreshments and stuff. So we ran in real quick and just blended in with the crowd. So I can't tell you how many times we hung out by the door. And sooner or later, that guy had to go use the bathroom or something. And we get in these, these great free concerts.
Well,
nice.
I was a kid. Give me a break. I was probably 16 years old.
I have an early Kiss no makeup story.
Share. Nice.
Wow. I do. This is a good one, Ron. You might appreciate this. In the late 70s, I worked for my father as a young teen at Oakland Airport. And my father was the head of a company that would customize, if you guys remember the old DC-3 and Corvair aircraft, a lot of rock bands would rent those out.
Yeah.
They would be all gutted out with couches and everything. Well, it just so happens an unknown band was leasing a DC-3 this particular day, and the company is called Interserve Bay Aviation, if anyone wants to check on this fact find. And here's how I know you could prove I was there. You see, the plane was pulled out between 2 hangars.
Okay.
And at the time, I'm the guy with the mop that had to mop up oil from the airplanes. That was my glorious job. Well, this band comes in. None of them had makeup on, and it was Kiss. Now, they were going really quick, discreetly, because back then it was a big thing to see Kiss without makeup. It was huge. If you got a photograph of these guys, it was worth money. I'm serious. Wow. It was big. Yeah. So for the people out there who don't know about that, it was a huge mystery. That was a whole part of the stigma was, who is Kiss? Yeah. Now, here's where it gets interesting. They get in the airplane. Looks like they pulled it off. They got in there. You really didn't see them. Might have been them, might have been not. Because we've never seen them without makeup. Yeah. But they fire up the planes, and the mechanic, forgot to put the oil cap on those motors. Those big. Yeah. So that oil goes everywhere. It hits both sides of the hangars that it's parked in between in Oakland. And I'm the kid mopping up, and they had to get out. So they got stuck without their makeup, walking around trying to get another plane. True story. So we saw them. Of course, you didn't have cell phones. You didn't happen to have a camera on you back then. So they were okay. But yeah, so that was big stuff. They were going, I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe it was Don Kirshner's rock concert they were on their way to.
Remember
that? Yeah, remember that? Yeah. Kiss was big. When they get on TV, one show of Kiss was huge. Every time they were on TV, that's all you heard for like 2 weeks afterwards, because there was such a visual impact. They were so visually appealing. They were perfect for television.
Oh yeah.
You guys have heard of the movie Kiss Meets the Phantom? It was an NBC movie the week in 78.
I remember that.
Yeah, I did hear
They
that.
called it. They tried to market it as the Beatles help meet Star Wars. Yeah,
I remember that.
Star Wars.
I was 5 years old when it came out, but from in the mid '80s when I got turned back onto Kiss, every single week my friends and I would get TV Guide magazine. You guys remember TV Guide? And I'd rifle through all the late night movies, just praying. And then all of a sudden, when I was in about grade 7, when I talk about it here in the book, there it was. One night, Kiss Meets the Phantom would be on at midnight. So I couldn't believe it. We had in Canada, we call them a professional day the next day. Like we didn't have to go to school. It was only for the teachers. So we had a sleepover. We stayed up till midnight. And, even though it was kind of like 7 years after the fact, we got to watch Kiss Meets the Phantom, right?
Oh,
Which
good.
was just incredible. So, Lou, the movie's kind of seen as an embarrassment in Kiss.
I bet.
But the whole thing, the TV, the visual,
Yeah.
the makeup was just, it just drove us crazy.
that, and Jeff might stomp on me for this, but I felt that was kind of a mistake with Elvis a little bit. Elvis stayed in this, again, opinion, Jeff, don't kill me. I felt Elvis stayed in the movie business too long. He became more Hollywood than his music. And I kind of wanted to reel him back in. And I saw that Kiss movie you're talking about, Ron. And I thought the same thing. I was like, here's this larger than life band with fireworks and shit. And suddenly they're on a cartoon. It was like the Teletubbies, man. It didn't come across well. It was weird. It was awkward. But yeah.
I thought too when it played the Halloween of '78, and anticipated it all the week coming on, and saying Kiss, you think Kiss, and then it comes on, and I was like, this is fucking corny.
Yeah, it was.
I hate it.
It was like the Monkeys.
They were on in concert, but
I think the history of the I think the history of corny.
I've got it.
I love these guys. This is why music is alive today. People like you guys. Thank God.
Well, I'll tell you something. That corny movies, bands doing corny movies goes all the way back to the Beatles. Which I let down on some of that, but anyway, the Elvis movies. We actually me and my younger brother actually liked them. And my dad had Elvis albums and stuff.
He went too long. Anne Margaret was cute, but he went too long.
I won't disagree with you there.
Get back to the music.
They were fun in their own way, he'd start to sing and an orchestra would pop up behind him, an entire band,
Jeff, wasn't it Colonel Tom Parker that was just kind of driving the ship and got Elvis into all those things?
He was the highest paid actor in Hollywood in those years, making those B movies. So they were pocketing all the money.
Yeah, that's the way it was.
That was pretty common. Pretty common. They almost got back in the day. They almost got an allowance from the handlers.
Yeah, but it's Parker. It's Parker's influence.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he hired him. He kept the machine going. So, Ron, in your book, you're not. It's like a child. You're not supposed to say which one's your favorite. Of course, we don't have favorite children. But in your book, what chapter? If you were to pick one chapter in the entire book, which one would it be, and what's it about?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Sort of two chapters come to mind. The third chapter is called "I Pledge Allegiance," and every chapter is named after a Kiss song, but I Pledge Allegiance kind of covers from, I suppose, 12 years old to, sort of the latter part of 13, when I really turned back onto Kiss and just the magic and the discovery of, every day I'm discovering, whoa, what's The Elder? That's an album. Kiss Alive 2. I've never heard that before. Where did you get that poster? On a whim, I sent away to Cream magazine, and this sucker came, in the mail, and every day was a discovery. Wow. It was really like a rebirth, a magical time. You know, it was kiss, 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 right? So chapter 3 was a big one, right? When I became a Kiss fan. But, you know, chapter 10 is called Coming Home. And around 2000, was it 9 or 11? You know, my kids were at an age where they were, you know, sort of aware of Kiss, and Kiss was coming through Vancouver. And that's where we get that photo that Royce threw up earlier, you know, on the screen, where, you know, my wife and a neighbor made these Kiss costumes. You know, we took the kids to the show, and you know, yeah, exactly, right. We went to a Live 35 show, and it was just sort of, you know, I've heard people say this before, but I really didn't watch the show, right? I just sat there, watched my kids, and sort of basked in, you know, what it means to be a Kiss fan, and how it had come full circle from me being a kid. You know, my aunt took me to the Animalized concert, to you know, now my wife and I exposing the kids to Kiss. And you know, it was that chapter, Lou, that really sort of sums up the theme of the book, right? Is that all these Kiss experiences, collectibles, music, concerts, you know, they all hold such dear memories. So I picked 2.
That's good. That's good. You know, that was fair enough. I'm surprised you took it down to that.
Okay, so every chapter is named after a Kiss song. And how many chapters are in the book?
That's cool.
There's 10 chapters total.
10 chapters. Do you mind reading off the names of the chapters to us?
I'd be honored to do so.
Good.
Chapter 1 is you know, Just a Boy. Jeff, do you know what album that's off of?
The Elder.
Bingo. And you know, that talks about when I was
Jeff.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to try.
That's what I was saying about Jeff. Jeff knows everything. You know?
We need more Jeffs. We need more Rons.
I agree with that.
We do.
Let's be just grateful we have one tonight.
That's good. And
I
then
want 1,000 of that guy.
chapter 2 is True Confessions. And that's because chapter 2 deals with that early 80s period. And I'm confessing that I really was disengaged with the band, right? I didn't know what was going on. Chapter 3, I talked about, you know, I pledge allegiance. Now I'm back. I'm fully on the Kiss Army. Chapter 4 is King of the Mountain. So I'm starting junior high school, and along with a classmate of mine, we're kind of known as the Kiss guys, right? We're the Kiss experts. We'll buy all your stuff. You come to us with a question, we'll lend you an album.
Amazing.
Chapter 5 is Lonely as a Hunter. And, you know, life is ups and downs, especially the teenage years. And my grade 9 year was kind of a tough one. I was going through like we moved. My grandmother was sick, right? And I was really close to her. I was kind of in the midst of changing my friends group. And, you know, it was really Kiss that got me through that, right? So Lonely as a Hunter. But then chapter 6, back in the New York group, right? Because, you know, life's getting back on track again. Chapter 7's Two-Timer. So now I'm in grade 12, and I'm getting into football, but also partying. I'm listening to Dr. Feelgood, and you know,
I was going to ask about
Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I almost feel like a two-timer because I'm almost forgetting about Kiss a little bit, but you know, I'm still the Kiss fan. Chapter 8, Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? I finally meet Kiss, and I talk about how I was able to do that, you know, through circumstance. Chapter 9, All Hell's Breaking Loose. You know, I'm in college. You know, my parents have a pool. I'm entertaining all the time. I'm going to concerts. I'm staying out all night. And, you know, am I still that kid? Am I still that Kiss fan? Like what place do they have in my heart, right? I'm psyched about seeing Lollapalooza, right? And, you know, the grunge and everything. And you know, where does Kiss kind of still remain? And then, you know, chapter 10, I talked about coming home, right? Bringing Kiss with family. And in the epilogue, I finally found my way. So that's where I outline, you know, taking my son Jack to that last show and figuring out, you know, now that I'm 50, now that Kiss is coming to an end, you know, where is Kiss going to fit into my day-to-day, into my story?
Right.
That's a lot.
Go ahead, Wes.
Fascinating. No. I was just, you mentioned one thing that, you know, the sports and partying. I think we can all kind of relate to that, you know. And that was kind of the end of my high school sports, was the partying. And I mean, I started playing Pop Warner football in 5th grade when you were supposed to be at least 7th grade to play. You know, I was playing in 5th grade, so
nice.
I was really into it. But you know, the partying just got the best of me, and before I knew it, I was kicked out of sports. You know,
one of the stories I talk about in the book is when I was about 21, my parents bought a big house that had an in-ground pool, and you know, my house was for a time kind of, you know, where my friends and that would go to party. And one night my parents were out of town and I had, you know, maybe 30 people over and I needed to go up and put on a pair of jeans. So I kind of leave the pool and I walk up to my room and open up my bedroom door and there's about 8 people in my bedroom. And I knew them. It was no big deal. And, you know, they're sitting there going through all my Kiss magazines, looking at my records. And I say, hey, guys. And they say, hey, Ron, you know, I was there when you bought that. Remember that? Or remember that concert? And I'm just thinking, like, there's a party going on downstairs. There's girls. There's there's beer. And you guys are sitting up here going through my Kiss stuff, you know?
your Kiss stuff.
Yeah, that's what they were interested in.
Hey, Ron, what's your favorite Kiss lyric of all time?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Hey, you got me on the drummer. Even.
I end my book with a couple of lines from a Kiss song. It's from one of their latter albums, Psycho Circus. The song is We Are One. And it kind of ends the book. It says, once upon a time you were a child, but that was yesterday. Believe that magic in your heart would never fade away. Right. And that kind of sums up, like, you know, Kiss has stayed with me for so long. But, you know, Lou, I got to say, you know, Royce, are we allowed, like, is it an 18+ audience or?
Yes, it is.
There's a line from Take Me off
Green Light.
Off of Rock and Roll Over. Sitting in the back, how does it go? Sitting in the back, her head down on my lap, the moonlight shining down on her. The radio was playing, her fingertips are swaying. Her mama didn't know she was there.
Jeff is right with you. Jeff is right with you.
Is anybody else blushing?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's great. That's going to be fun to read. You know, okay, so let's move on now. Let's look at another era. We left off in March of '82. Now we've got April through December of '84, and only one album was produced, and that was Animalize.
Yeah.
In '84, and the change in the lineup there, and I separated these by change in lineups actually.
Makes sense.
Was Vinnie Vincent was gone, and for a short period of time, Mark St. John was the lead guitar player.
Correct.
In that era. Yeah. And Animalize was their only album.
You know, the Kiss story does change from time to time, right? Like, you know, we think it's one thing, and then all of a sudden Gene or Paul will reveal that it's another thing. So, and I'm not 100% up on everything, right? Like in a lot of ways, I've kind of let my fandom lull a little bit. I'm not the expert, but supposedly Vinny would never sign a contract, right? You know, he was stalling, he was difficult. So I guess at the end of the Lick It Up tour, they just didn't renew his contract, and they brought in Mark St. John, who he wasn't a songwriter like Vinny was, but he was a shredder, right? He was, you know, of the times, right? Like it's mid 80s. You got your Van Halen, you got your, I guess, our Judas Priest shredders. I don't know, KK and Tipton, I think maybe. And so they bring in Mark St. John, but he's only in the band for a short time because he develops arthritis in his hand.
Oh my God.
He can't play. So then they bring in Bruce Kulick, who, you know, ends up being in the band for the ensuing, you know, 10 or 11 years, right up until the 96 reunion.
Yeah.
Didn't get the tour.
Pardon me, Jeff?
He played on the album, but he didn't get to tour with
Mark St. John. Yeah. Exactly.
I think Bruce did record a little bit on the album, but that's mostly Mark St. John.
I think that's probably accurate.
My understanding.
Okay, well, we pick up with the next lineup, which created 5 albums, And that was the end of 1984 through 1991, so that was a pretty long period of time. And that's when Mark St. John
non-makeup too. No makeup.
Must have developed his.
I don't think they wore makeup during that part.
Oh, they didn't.
I'm sorry, Russ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just saying that was their non-makeup period for that whole. I think for that whole section. Don't quote me on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ron, is that right?
You're right.
That's when Bruce Kulick came in.
Correct.
And took Mark St. John's place as the lead guitar player. Yeah, and the rest of the lineup stayed the same. Eric Carr, and of course, I don't have to keep mentioning Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons, but there's only the two that keep changing. But anyway, so they made let's see, they made Asylum, Animalized Live, Crazy Nights, Smashers, Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits. I'm sorry. To put my glasses on. Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, and Hot in the Shade. And so that lineup produced 5 albums. That's quite a bit.
And they were kind of like pre-Metallica as far as they weren't getting airplay, but they were selling albums anyways. Yeah. They were going gold without a single song, hardly being played. Radio was being tough back then on bands like that.
Isn't that crazy?
So that was amazing. Yeah.
So Lou, one day, I was kind of in high school, and Kiss was holding on; they were surviving. And one day, a friend and I were at the mall, and we go into a TV store. I don't know, maybe we're looking at records, and I hear something, and I say, "What is that? I know that." And I look, and there's 20 TVs all tuned in to Forever. The song.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Lou, I don't know that, I don't think Forever was a top 10 hit, but it was up there, right? It was a hit single. And all these people are coming to me and saying, Ron, now I get why you love Kiss. That song Forever is so great. And, now I understand. I love Kiss too. And I'm just thinking, are you kidding me? Like for all
that's what it took.
Yeah. And everyone thinks, oh, Ron, Forever was co-written by Michael Bolton, right? So they all think now,
I didn't know
I
that.
get Kiss. They're ballads. They're Michael Bolton. So it was just like, I talk about it in a book. I was beside myself, right?
One thing I agree with you on, Ron. I like to discover bands early. That's just was always my thing. I'm a guy. I like it when I'm discovered early. When I'm out there, that's the whole fun of music to me. For me. Yeah. So when a band gets big, let's say like Jane's Addiction, when Les Habitual was out, we're like, then Been Caught Stealing comes out and everybody else jumps on board. And we're like, that's old news, man. You're late to the party. That album wasn't near as good. You missed everything already.
Right.
I felt that way a little bit about Kiss. And that's how I felt you were talking about theirs. People grab on to the stuff that wasn't what really made them sometimes.
Right.
Big time. Big.
Yeah.
Well, you look at Springsteen, right? Springsteen's throughout the 70s, the records he released, and then all of a sudden it's Dancing in the Dark that just sends him into the next stratosphere, right? And,
sorry, had to be done.
He's a pop star, right?
Yeah. Born in the USA. But one of the great things about Bruce was he did, and here's another tie-in to Kiss, believe it or not. Bruce was known for his extended length shows. There were a lot of rules that you were supposed to cut out, and they would fine you, and he still would go long. Kiss was known for doing the same thing. When you paid to go to a Kiss show, it was an experience. They wanted it to be an experience. They didn't want it to be just a concert, kind of like Alice Cooper, I feel. Yeah, and they would go long.
Oh, yeah.
They ended when they wanted to, man. They went past 10 o'clock, and people expected that. They knew when they go, it was going to be a long run, and they loved it. It made it. It was part of what they were. Good stuff.
Just a real production, yeah.
I mean, today you're spending hundreds of dollars just to park, and these guys cut early. We got to go back. We got to go back to our boys and watch how it's done. You go there to play because you did all your work to get there and entertain these people. I really believe that, and that's how you get people like Ron and Jeff.
Protect the band or the brand for sure, right? They work hard for Kiss. They're going to protect it.
You don't get guys like Jeff with all those albums behind them, or people like you write a book about them, or Royce doing shows like this, unless you show that you care back. And I think we need more of that with our bands today.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
you new guys out there, young guys listening out there, you're watching this, you want to be Kiss, put it out. Don't just pose, get out there and play along. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
Give the people their money's worth, for God's sake.
Give the people their money's worth.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm off my box. I'll push it aside.
Well, no, but you're absolutely correct, though. You know. Okay, since we're in that 80s thing here, you know, well, mid 80s up to 91, which was a nice long run, you know, with Bruce Kulick there, but he actually continues into the next era, and they did the 5 albums. But so in the 80s, what were you? Where were you in the 80s with all of this? Ron?
You know, it was a time where, well, the 80s is a neat time because I got to see Kiss for the first time, right? Like I saw them in, you know, 84, 87, 89. I met them in 90. It was a real special time. But like Lou says, they didn't have, aside from Forever, they didn't have any huge hits, right? They got some play on MTV. They were in Circus. They were in Hit Parader, but
Magazine's a lot.
Yeah, it was tough to defend them, right? Because, you know, all my friends are classmates. You know, have you heard Tesla? Have you heard Winger? Have you heard Poison? Yeah, but I'm still listening to Kiss, right? And then, you know, have you heard the new Motley Crue? And then have you heard, I guess we're getting out of the 80s a little bit, but then the grunge comes in, right? So, you know, I mean, I remember going to, in 1990, Kiss is Coming for Revenge. And my friend and I, we get up early and we get to the mall, right? Because we want to buy tickets, right? Pre-internet. And I walk up to the mall and it's, you know, it's 6 a.m. or something. And the crowd's actually pretty good. And I'm thinking, wow, you know, maybe I should have got here earlier. Maybe there is a demand for Kiss tickets. So, you know, we say hi to the people, how you doing, all that. You here for Kiss tickets? And they say, Kiss, we're here for Megadeth tickets. And I'm like, Megadeth? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, are you going to Kiss? No Megadeth. Are you going to Kiss? No Megadeth. Are you going to Kiss? And I realized, like, what's going on? Like Kiss doesn't even get their own day to buy tickets now. They're selling the same time as Megadeth. And, you know, we end up going to the concert and it's empty in there. Right.
Oh,
so it was a real strange time. Like I was still amassing the collectibles. I'm into the albums. But, you know, other bands are sort of overshadowing them and so forth. And I'm kind of wondering, is Kiss going to call it quits or, you know, are they going to keep going? Right. And that's some of my feelings that I talk about in the book there for sure. There's been, you know, there was some strange experiences around those days.
Well, the reason I asked is because you did mention, like, in the 80s, you were defending Kiss a lot. You know?
Yeah. Kiss sucks. New Kiss sucks. What are you talking about? You know, Kiss is Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, right? And Paul Stanley. You know, these guys are just imposters. They're old. They're, you know, they're in their late 30s or whatever.
Late 30s, yeah. They were approaching over the hill for sure.
You know, that's like, crazy old.
It's like Lou says, like you go to your friend's bedroom and the one friend has the Eagles, Led Zeppelin, Cheap Trick, Led Zeppelin, and the other friend just has Kiss. And it's almost like what I've learned over the years is people either love Kiss or hate them. Like, I can't believe the anger that it brings up sometimes, you know, like
it's just amazing.
Guys are a gimmick. They're a band. Why do you listen to them? They can't play their instruments. And it's just like, whoa, hold on here, right? We're just
right.
You know? Easy.
That's crazy.
There was a lot of defending it for
right. I can see that. Yeah.
Well, you know, Royce had
I can definitely see that in that era in particular, with all the heavy metal bands coming out and everything.
Well, I've got two questions, and one, Royce had a show not too long ago, Ron. I joined him on it. We were talking about all the devil imagery in the 70s.
Yeah.
Nice.
And how that was done. And, you know, as we know, Gene Simmons is supposedly the demon. Okay. So a lot of people talked about back then the two S's. And Kiss represented Satan. Now, I've done some research, and I disagree with that. I think it had more to do with the prior band, Lips and so forth, and the lightning bolts that freely came up. I mean, he even had lightning bolts on his makeup, right? What's your catch on that? What's your take?
Yeah, I don't, you know, people caught on pretty early that Kiss stood for, Knights in Satan's service. They were devil worshippers. I mean, Gene is the demon. He writes in Kiss Alive that he's the bat lizard, right?
The bat lizard.
He did. I saw that. I remember
exactly.
that.
I mean, I guess either it's just, people using their imagination too much and trying to protest things. But at the same time, Gene's a pretty smart cat, right? Like I almost wonder,
very intelligent.
Is this something that he envisioned that, Kiss would gain attention from protesters and so forth, right? So,
right.
I don't think Gene or Paul are into black magic or anything like that, but at the same time, I wouldn't put it past that they were aware that might be something to, drum up a little bit of publicity, right?
Part of the show, kind of like Paul is dead, right?
Yeah, there you go, exactly. And with the bare feet on Abbey Road.
Those cats are going to say he's dead. We'll go with it. So
there is no bad publicity, right?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. In the book I talk about, I have a theory called the Gene Simmons demographic, right? Like Gene is an intelligent, somewhat cultured guy, but he's going to give the fans what they want, right? We need to be, a makeup inspired Japanese kabuki rock band. We'll do that. We have to, compromise and get into the disco era. I Was Made for Loving You. We'll do that. We need to take the makeup off and become a hair band. We'll do that, right? So, there could be something there with the devil imagery.
So, hey guys, who's the next Kiss? And for the chatters out there, who's the next Kiss coming up? Is there another one? Is there a band inspired by Kiss that we should look for that's kind of like them or sounds like them, looks like them?
Good question.
To me,
I knew Jeff.
It would be Ghost.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Because they have that mystique going. It's like, what's behind those masks? That was a big deal in the 70s with Kiss.
That's definitely one of them. That whole genre in Europe, BFM, I think is the acronym. It's called Black F. Frickin' Black F metal. If you YouTube that, a lot of those bands are, they're doing the rah, 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 that's what it sounds like to me.
Right.
But, the screamo type, but it's gone to a whole nother level. They've taken even harder than that. I watched some of that recently. I love watching all genres. I think you can learn something. There's talent in all of them. Instead of saying somebody sucks or there's nothing, you're wrong. You got to check it out, people. There's always something in everything. So I was watching that, and I got to say, I felt I saw some influence from the old metal bands like Kiss and stuff like that in there, in my opinion. Some of the stage work, even the demon stuff, that's part of the reason I asked that. They're doing this. A lot of those guys are doing the same. They're not Satan worshipers, but they're trying. It's like a horror flick. They're trying to get you get scared, you want to be scared. Right. Ooh, it's the devil singing, So, I'll power to them. If they're making money, go for it.
Right.
Yeah. If you don't like it, don't buy it, and then they don't make money. Okay. It's very simple.
Definitely.
That's your thing. If you want to be scared and you like music like that, God bless you. Go for it.
Let's take the next era with the next lineup. Was somebody starting to say something?
I said I file it all under entertainment.
Yes, exactly.
That's what we want for sure.
So music.
Okay, so now we're picking up in the early 90s, 1992. Let's see, actually December 91 through April 96. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And still we've got, this is the first time that Eric Singer shows up. Eric Singer taking the place of Eric Carr.
Yeah.
Eric for an Eric there, Actually, and we had five albums. Pardon me?
Actually, he shows up a little earlier if you get to the history, because he played with Paul Stanley in '89 when Paul did a solo tour. That's how he.
Oh, okay. Well, and he also plays with Paul Stanley on his soul album.
Right.
Soul Sensation, right?
Station.
Soul Station?
Thank you. Soul Station. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I didn't realize Eric Singer was on that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eric Singer's on that. Yeah. I've got that album that got the gatefold and everything, and Eric's there.
I just thought I had that side note.
correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff and Ron, especially. I know you guys on this stuff, but doesn't singer Dawn? They all go back to makeup, I believe, in the '90s. They go back for the first time to makeup, have their biggest tour ever because of it.
Right.
And what's really interesting, isn't singer put the original cat makeup on? Is that right? No, we get a no, we get a yes. I thought he went back and did the original cat.
Not in '96. He didn't. That was
okay.
Chris.
Yeah, and I thought singer puts on Peter Criss's makeup, and I thought they used Ace Frehley on guitar. No, that's not true. I was curious. That's what I heard. I don't know.
That's right. So, when they reunited in '96, it's the original four, right? It's Ace Frehley and Peter Criss. But then I think and they tour for a couple of years. And I think it was Peter Criss to first show the cracks that he couldn't maintain.
He goes before Frehley. Yeah. So didn't they?
They did the Psycho Circus tour, then they did Farewell tour, and then he wouldn't sign the contract to continue the tour on into Japan and Australia, I think. So they wanted to keep touring, and he wanted more money, and they wouldn't give it to him, so they brought Singer in.
I remember that being the hoopla that was like, but they put Peter's out, and he put on Peter's makeup, and I remember people being upset about that.
Yeah,
is the way I remember it.
Yeah, but so the '91 through '96 lineup, they did do 5 albums. They had what was it? Revenge, Alive 3, and Alive 3.
Just throwing albums out.
Kiss Confidential with a K, Confidential. Kiss Unplugged and Carnival of Souls.
Yeah, they really so Eric Carr gets sick, around the early '90s, and they record Revenge in '92 with Eric Singer, right? That's the first studio album.
Right.
Eric, and then that lineup only actually does one more studio album, right? Carnival of Souls, which is like a grunge-inspired album. And Kiss Alive 3, of course, is a live one. Kiss Confidential, it's a video, right? It's a VHS tape, so no new music. So it's just the 2 studio albums, Revenge and Carnival of Souls.
Yeah, that's right. And then like you said, 96 through 2001 is when Peter Criss comes back.
More or less. 96 is the big.
He did?
Yeah.
And they produced 2 albums. Ace Frehley and Peter Criss were both back.
Did he play live after that? Did he? I'll be damned.
The 4 of them toured, quite extensively. Again,
in '96, they
says.
Okay.
Starting in '96. Jeff, you might have all the dates down. At one point, Criss is out of the band. Then he's back. Ace Frehley's out of the band. And then finally, it becomes, Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer.
Right.
I did that. I did that Aerosmith tour, and it was Tommy Thayer and Peter Criss, and then after that tour, they brought in Eric Singer for good.
Correct.
Yeah.
That was 2000.
Yeah. And they produced Psycho Circus and Live the Millennium Concert. Live 1, the Millennium Concert.
Yeah.
That lineup through 90.
Psycho Circus is out.
2001. Yeah. 2001.
Psycho Circus is maybe 98, 99.
98.
And supposedly it's the original 4, but
no, it is 98. It's listed under 96 to 98. That's right.
Yeah, so we're finding out after the fact though that Peter Criss supposedly didn't play on any of Psycho Circus, and Ace Frehley maybe just 1 or 2 songs, I think. I should come clean. Okay. I'm not the Kiss expert, when it comes to those things, right? There's so many guys whose knowledge is way above mine for sure. I saw the reunion concert. I was dating the woman who would, fortunately go on to become my wife. And, we hit Portland and Seattle and Vancouver. We put the makeup on. There's a funny story I talk about in my book. My girlfriend, my wife and I are in the hotel room. We decide, let's put Kiss makeup on. We go down to the department store. She does Ace Frehley. She looks great. I'm pretty excited to be Paul Stanley. We get dressed, we put our clothes on, we head out over to the concert, and what happens? I got my star on the wrong eye.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh man! Oh, look at that!
no.
That is great.
It looked great in the mirror in the hotel room.
'Cause it was-
Everybody, hey idiot, your star's on the wrong eye. Nice
Oh, man.
Paul Stanley. Supposed to go on the right.
You didn't
Oh,
think
no.
you're so excited.
Well, that's what happens when you look in a mirror. You do it backwards.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I always thought
I
that
didn't
Paul
either.
Stanley. I felt that Paul Stanley may have been inspired by Tommy Bolin for that star, because the first guy I ever saw do that was Tommy Bolin, even on the same, I think it was the same side even.
Okay.
And Tommy Bolin had those T-Rex, for the people who know who Tommy Bolin is, and he had those platform shoes, and their music, that Bang a Gong and all that stuff, was pretty heavy, and that they were like one of the first glam bands, you know. And so I've always wondered, even the hair that Tommy Bolin had was kind of. I wonder if Paul, was inspired by Tommy, if that's where he got that idea. I don't know.
There's a picture that you can find online easily. Just Google early Kiss photo, and they look like the New York Dolls, right? They've got the
Well, they were from New York too,
shadow, which is, I guess, maybe similar to Tommy Bolin, right? And one of the things I love about Kiss, and I think I talk about it in the book, is they don't pretend to be anything, right? Like they say, we like that, we grabbed the vibe from Sweet. We grabbed, this riff from that band. We looked at Alice Cooper and we copied this, and they don't apologize or make that a secret, right? And that's one of the things I love about Kiss. They've sort of got this, I don't know if you want to call it blue collar, but they had like a passion and a drive to make it, and they're not ashamed to say that they did what they needed to accomplish that.
Right.
I think another band that does
no shame in that at all.
Motley Crue mentions, God, they were dressed kind of like Kiss. They were trying to do the Kiss show in a regular room, which was interesting, right? With a big, they were trying to do pyrotechnics. You saw their early outfits. It was like, you're like, what? And they were doing it at like the Whiskey, not some big Kiss isn't a big stadium getting away with that. And all of a sudden, here was a band in the Whiskey wearing those outfits, but it worked. And they admitted that they were trying to get a David Lee Roth cross singer, with like a Bowie feel and all that stuff. So there's a band, there's another one that, I think bands in time, like maybe Tommy Bolin's acts and others begat Kiss. New York Dolls, they wore dresses. That's what's a little different. Kiss didn't do that. I remember the Dolls. They were great. But we wouldn't have Motley Crue, perhaps, and other great bands from that period if it wasn't for someone doing it like that or take a step
right.
out.
Yeah,
that's
building blocks for sure.
Absolutely, we're all inspired by somebody. Only
right.
Bo Diddley ever said that. They asked Bo Diddley, he goes, "They don't play Bo Diddley, I don't play them." Was his line, which is he could get away saying that. But no, we're all inspired.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So what's next, Ron? Obviously your wife is as into Kiss as you are. Could you ever see like going for a screenplay or anything like that? Maybe hoping for a movie deal?
I really don't have many aspirations for the book. It was something that I wanted to do. The project is near and dear to my heart, right? Like I've really poured out, a lot of personal information. It's almost as much about me as it is Kiss, right? Like when my mom says it's the Wonder Years meet Kiss, it really is my story of my life. And, the idea was that, I was going to put it up on Amazon. That was all. But I thought, I want to do what I can to share it. So I've been, promoting it a little bit, right? I got a Facebook page and I got a Twitter account, and I'm trying to kind of pump it up a little bit. But that's sort of where the ambition ends, right? If I just want to share the story with other Kiss fans. Actually, a big part of the book is my lifelong friend Jason Pretzer. I kind of call him my Kiss arch enemy, because even though we've been friends since kindergarten, we're always kind of trying to one up on each other of who is the bigger fan and so forth. And
that's awesome.
I met him yesterday. Like I really haven't told anyone about the book at all. I kind of been keeping it close to me. And I met him yesterday at a local pub, and I told him I had a gift for him. So I walk in and I'm holding this, and his eyes are kind of looking, and I say, well, here's your gift, right? And he says, He goes, you know, oh, I Stole Your Love. He goes, well, I haven't seen this. Like, who wrote this one? Then he looks and he's just like, what? This is your name. And that's what I wanted to do, right? Was just kind of share my story. My son, you know, all my boys are encouraging me to get it down. They're excited. My wife is encouraging me. That's enough, you know. That's probably the end of it.
And you're getting to talk about your favorite band all the time, even more. So, right?
It's great, right? Yeah, like definitely, right? I really enjoy that. Hopefully the passion comes out. My love of Kiss. It's there in the book. I hope.
Right.
Excellent.
That's awesome. That's going to be great. I can't wait to see it. And so the next era, 2001 to 2002, once again, Ace Frehley, Eric Singer, and no albums were produced. So we'll go on to from March to October 2002. We did have one album, Kiss Symphony, Alive 4, they're calling it, and that was Tommy Thayer, and Eric Singer. Yeah, and
no. Peter Chris.
Well, no. I'm sorry. Let's see. 2000. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Tommy Thayer and Peter Chris was on the drums for the one album, though.
Right, he's on
the Eric Singer. Okay.
That's for the Symphony album.
For the Symphony album, correct. Yeah.
The Symphony holds a special place in my heart. You know, I'm a young father. My kids are young. And it's my mom who comes over to babysit one day, and she brings, you know, Kiss Symphony Alive 4 and sort of puts it on. And my oldest two kids were my only kids at the time. They couldn't get enough of it. You know, I talk about in the book that, you know, I'd be on parent duty Saturday morning. I get up at 6, I give the kids some juice, and they want to watch Kiss. You know, we have company over, we're trying to entertain, and Jack pulling at my arm, and Ben, put on Kiss. And, you know,
Kiss, I love it.
Wow.
Yeah, they're saying, well, what do you know, Ron, you've brainwashed your kids. And I say, no, I haven't. They love this DVD. They can't get enough of it.
That's cool.
So yeah,
that's awesome.
That was a good one.
That's killer. It's killer. You know what I like about your story, great. Ron? What inspires me about your story is that, you know, you get a lot of people talking about, well, the music today just isn't as good, you know. And I'm not going to go there on that. First off, there's always good music every decade. You just have to keep looking. You have to keep listening. So I don't go for that. But what's really interesting about you is in the period that you found Kiss, there's a lot going on. I mean, there was a lot of great new music going on, but you found Kiss. Yeah. You found Kiss. You remind me, there's a kid I teach guitar to, and he came to me recently. He gave me this song, and he says, I want to learn this song. And I said, I'm not going to tell you the song yet. And I said, did your dad tell you about that? He said, no. I said, your mom? No. Somebody play it for you? No. Where'd you find it? YouTube, he says. And it was Joe Walsh. Okay, it was a Joe Walsh song. And life's been good to me so far, right? Because I want to learn how to play this song. And it just goes to show that a good song or a good act is a good song, no matter what decade. And people like you, music lovers, are going to find it, no matter what's going on. And I love that. That brings me, you know, that makes a musician like me feel warm in the heart that, you know, that your music will be found. So the people, you know, write your music, the people that love it will find you to keep it going up to there. And I love your passion. Oh, and your passion. You're like a dream fan. I mean, what band wouldn't want a person like you in the crowd? You know, if I ever had someone like, I'd be like, that dude is in the green room, man. Get him into the green room.
The thing is,
every damn thing he's got.
I'm hoping it comes through.
Oh, absolutely. Paul Stanley's going to find him.
There's so much to choose from today, old and new, you know. I mean, I discover something all the time that I for some reason, it just passed me by, you know. I was listening to Stick Figure, Paradise, the song Paradise. It's kind of you guys familiar with?
I don't know that one.
Yeah, I actually heard that. That's obscure.
Stick Figure.
Where are you going with that, Royce?
No, I mean, I found that, and I've been listening to more and more of those songs, and I really enjoy them, you know.
That's I think where your point is, though, you search, you seek and destroy, man. That was an example. Well, did you like the Butthole Surfers and stuff like that? Man, you were aware of that.
Gabby Hayes. Well,
only people that dig know those guys.
Like I look at Jeff. You got the wall of music there, and I've got my collection, and it's near and dear to our hearts for sure. And we're always going to remember, like, hey, I want to listen to Stones tonight, or Hendrix, or Pink Floyd. But then at the same time, yeah, you want to look for new music too, right? Because, like you say, it's out there, right? It's just a matter of exposure, you know.
Yeah. Well, and they bring you only. I think music can take you to back not only in a specific time, a certain song, a specific time in your life, a memory, even maybe the smells in a room, you know, on certain stuff.
A memory, big time. Yeah,
that's powerful.
That's how I have dated my whole life.
A party, take you back to a party.
Jeff, is it a matchup? I've had music follow me. So, for example, I'm not a huge Coldplay fan. I really appreciate them. But a certain girl I was with for a while, every time we went on a date, Jeff, like you're talking, clocks would play in the background. You know, da, 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 da. You know, and so it just became it kind of became our song. It joined us, you know, it came with us. So I could see that. And I'm thinking for you, Ron, you guys, what's your song? As a couple, do you have a Kiss song like that?
Lou, you really just summed up what Kiss means to me, right? It's like, I don't know if I can pick songs and say that, but I remember getting albums, and I remember the friends that I was with when I bought that album, and our experience that day, what we did that evening. You know, I can remember, grabbing certain items, right? This is an Eric Carr drumstick. And I remember the three guys that I was with when I got it, and, you know, what we were doing at that time. And that really sums it up, right? Like, it's not that I just love the song Deuce or Detroit Rock City. I do, but it's just that, you know, Kiss has been there every moment. And, you know, different albums, different collectibles signify different relationships, different times in my life. And you know, you can probably name a Kiss song and I could think of, you know, what my connection is. So I couldn't agree more, Lou, for sure.
Well, let's do the Stranded Island to you. I'm going to punish you again for those drum questions.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, you can only take one Kiss album with you, and I'll even let you make it a greatest hits. Which album do you take?
If you're going to allow me greatest hits, I mean, it's Kiss Alive.
Yeah, I agree. I would do the same.
I'm not as intense. You gave me the easy out there with the compilation.
I did.
That's
I'm not as mean as I look.
I love it.
Well, guys, I'm going to have to sign off. I appreciate you letting me join the conversation as usual. Massive luck to you, Ron. And let's send a message to Paul. You'd want Paul to sign your book, right?
I'd love that.
Hey. Yeah.
That'd be a highlight. Yeah, Lou, just quickly, I'm going to be following your site. You know, I've read the first couple chapters, and I can't wait to subscribe and read the rest because your story seems wonderful.
Well, thank Ron. I'm going to send you a VIP tonight. The back room's got all chapter 11 and chapter 12 going up Tuesday night. So on the house on me, sir. Coming to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You got it. And Jeff, nice meeting you officially, my friend. You are a badass mother. Shut your mouth, Jeff. And Royce, as always, sir.
Okay, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care, everybody. Have a beautiful
All right, take care.
Thank you.
And like somebody already mentioned, that the singer Tommy Thayer lineup was the constant after that. Yeah. There was quite a few albums, though. They had, let's see. Instant Live in 2004, Rock the Nation Live, Alive 35, 2008, Sonic Boom 2009, Sonic Boom over Europe 2010, Monster 2012. I can't even pronounce this one. Yummy no Yukiyo. Jeff, I'm sure you're familiar.
Re-recordings.
Yeah, re-recordings.
And Kiss Rocks Vegas 2016. Yeah. Anyway, what an interesting topic. Okay.
Yeah, Sonic Boom and Monster, right? The two studio albums, and then Jeff, you'd probably know better than me the live recordings, the special releases.
Well, those Rock the Nations and what's the other one? Instant Live. That's where they just record the whole tour.
Yeah.
And like you buy the show that you went to, or you can collect the whole tour if you want. I've got a number of those, and now they're starting to do the off the soundboards.
Yeah. Yeah, Virginia Beach just released there a couple of weeks ago.
So
yeah.
Well, guys, I really appreciate you guys tonight, and I don't know, closing statements. I'll just go ahead and say, Ron, you were just a fantastic guest. Looking forward to your book. And Jeff, I really appreciate all your help and knowledge. And boy, you're really knowledgeable, not just KISS, but I mean, as I introduced you earlier, you just know so much about so many bands. And did you ever come up with a number on how many KISS concerts you've been to?
At least 10. I don't know.
At least 10. That's funny. I was going to ask you 10, more or less 10.
Yeah.
I got you beat by a touch on 13.
This last tour, I saw him 4 times alone.
Wow.
Nice.
That's wild.
Yeah, guys, I just want to really thank you. I mean, Lou is wonderful. He's a huge personality, and Jeff, your collection and your knowledge and so forth. I'm going to be looking at your Facebook page at the Elvis stuff a little more because my mom is a huge Elvis fan. And Royce, it's just a complete pleasure. Thanks a lot. I've really enjoyed.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll have you back again sometime.
I'd love that. You got
I'll be getting your book for sure.
That'd be wonderful, guys. I really hope you enjoy it. So thanks a lot.
Looking forward to it.
April 22nd. It'll be on Amazon, ebook or print book. You can check it out. I've got a Facebook page. You just go onto Facebook, you type in "I Stole Your Love" book, and there's more information. And thanks for your support, guys. It really means a lot.
All right, let's all support Ron. Okay, guys, I want to thank everybody in the chat. We really appreciate you guys, and great job. I mean, the chat really makes the show too. You know, where would we be with all the people that come on and participate with us? So thank you all very, very much. And on that, we're going to go ahead and end the broadcast. Thank you all. Good night.
Bye-bye.